I didn't exactly expect to have to do a video on Obsession, especially since I saw the movie so long after it came out. I saw it about 2, 3 weeks after it came out, and yet it was still picking up steam. It was gathering hype online. People were still talking about it, saying that it's one of the best movies of the year. You have to go see it. It's crazy. It's insane. It's so good. And while I agree with that, I just didn't necessarily think that there was room for me to talk about it in a way that offered anything individual or unique that you wouldn't have heard on 15 different channels by now. Um, but the movie is still getting a lot of discussion online. People are still tweeting about it, still making TikToks, and then Alex Myers did a video on it, and I did see clips of it before it got taken down. I have not had the chance to watch the full video, but what I did see was very strange, and ordinarily it's not fair to take somebody's words out of context and try to frame them for saying certain things, but this is Alex Myers we're talking about. I haven't been subscribed to him in a long time because I think he is a weird guy and he says a lot of weird things. But I guess we're gonna sit here. We're gonna talk about Obsession today. First, I want to give a quick review on it. I guess I will say that the movie is an 8 out of 10. I don't necessarily think that it's like, the most impressive movie that I've ever seen. I think that the title card was a little weird. But that's a nitpick for sure. Oh my god, it's not like Citizen Kane, right? And people are for some reason treating it like it's the greatest movie that they've ever seen, and maybe it is. Maybe it is. You got a lot of young people back in the theater to watch this movie, and that's a great thing. But I have to take the movie in context. I think that under the circumstances that led to its development, its creation, it is probably the best movie that could have possibly been made considering the circumstances. Now that sounds like a backhanded compliment. It's a great movie. It's really good. But it's not the most original concept. It's a love potion gone wrong. We've seen that 100 times. It's not the best edited movie, and a lot of times you can't necessarily hear the dialogue over the music. Things like that happen. Things like that are acceptable, excusable, especially for basically a rookie director who makes comedy sketches on YouTube. So I think with everything in context, the performances, the editing, the composition, the lighting, everything is working in service of a really, really good movie. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend watching it, especially if you are a single male or you are a woman in a relationship. Those are the demographics that I think need to see this movie most importantly. Now let's talk about why that is. I did a TikTok the other day talking about Obsession. And my hot take was that Bear is not. I've seen people say that Bear's like worse than the Joker, that he's like the devil incarnate. I think that the interesting thing about this movie is that Bear is kind of just a regular guy. He's kind of a normal guy at the beginning of the story. He's cowardly. He's socially inept. He's underdeveloped in that area. He's averse to communication. He can't be honest with the people that he cares about. That's real. A lot of people can or at one point have been able to relate to that. Everyone has had a crush on someone and not been able to tell them. Everybody's been scared to tell their friend how they feel about them because they're afraid that it's going to ruin the friendship. But you have to grow out of that at a certain point, right? This whole thing starts because Bear is objectively a coward, because he refuses to tell Nikki the truth, even when she puts it in his face and asks him directly if he likes her. He won't say it, right? But he's got a social life, he's got friends, he's got a job, like there's enough going on the surface to make you think that this is just a regular guy. However, he's grossly irresponsible. He left pills out, expired pills, out where his cat could get to them. And he did not properly take time to process the fact that he had lost his pet before he went out and tried to put moves on Nikki. He should have stood his ground and said, tonight's really just not a good night for me to go out right now. Sandy just died. I'm not really in the headspace to go out and have drinks right now. Nikki would have respected that. We see enough of Nikki from before the wish to know that she was a good person with a good heart, even if she does like to josh with her friends a little bit. She would have been understanding, but he didn't even give her the opportunity to do that. He did not give her the opportunity to either reject or embrace his feelings for her because he was scared. And now I think that the film is, you know, is deliberately deceptive when it comes to portraying whether or not she has feelings for him. They don't want you to know yet. They want you to be misled. I like that. I respect that. That's good. But I don't know. I feel like this movie is also still so simple in so many ways. When Bear makes the wish, no, he does not think that it's going to work. He does make a mistake in making that wish. He did not break that stick with the intention of stripping her of her autonomy and her free will. No, he did not do that on purpose, but he did it. Now, me saying that he made a mistake does not serve to say that what he did was not wrong, right? But he didn't know that the wish was going to work, right? And so I've seen people being like, well, if he phrased the wish a little bit differently. No, it doesn't matter how he phrased it, okay? Because no matter what he did, if the wish had anything to do with Nikki loving him, it would have taken away her autonomy. But he wouldn't have had to do that in the first place if he had just told her how he felt when she asked him to. Are you seeing what I'm saying there? And the unfortunate thing is that once he breaks that stick, it's too late. And his wish was so extreme, because I've even seen people saying like, oh, the wish was cursed. It's not a monkey's paw. The wish was just cursed. I don't think there should be any such thing as a cursed wish, to be honest. This whole thing is magic, right? What makes Ian's wish for $1 billion not cursed? Because that could crash the local economy if $1 billion just entered circulation, right? What we see is a wish for someone to love somebody else more than anyone else in the world, and a wish for $1 billion. When Ian wishes for $1 billion, $1 billion in cash starts to rain from the ceiling. It is taken as literally as possible. When Bear wishes that Nikki would love him more than anyone else in the world, it's taken as literally as possible. And the movie shows you directly in how the wish is brought to life that Nikki did not love him, and that's what he was afraid of. Wish, I think, at least in my mind, acknowledges the fact that there is no way that Nikki Freeman could love Bear, at least not that much, especially because this is based on Bear's definition of love. This is based on what he thinks of romantic love. So it conjures up a new Nikki, basically, and puts it in her body, and that's who loves Bear. In a way, yeah, like, Bear does acknowledge that something's wrong. He doesn't think it's the wish, he thinks it's drugs. But in the scene from the next night where she comes back to his house and she's like, you weren't taking advantage of me, I was on MDMA. Bear does not say, I'm sorry if I made you feel uncomfortable, or I'm sorry if I pushed you too far, or anything like that. All he says is, I didn't take advantage of you, or I don't think I did. He's being defensive because Bear knows he took advantage of her. And if Nikki had been okay with it, if she hadn't had that moment where she's like, what the fuck? Bear would have slept with her that night. And because that's not really Nikki, he would have raped her that night. So when I say that Bear made a mistake when he made the wish, but everything that he does after is what makes him a bad person, is what makes him evil, is what makes him selfish, I don't want to hear about plausible deniability until the point where, you know, he asks her if she loves him more than anyone else in the world, and when he realizes that the wish works. It's before that. It's from the moment she said, I did just lose my cat, he should have been like, Nikki, something's going on. You're maybe drunk, you're maybe on something. I think you should just go lay down. That's what a regular, normal person would do, right? But it's literally everything that he does after he makes that wish. And the unfortunate thing is that there are so many men out there who would make that wish. And yes, there is only one way out. Either she dies or he does, so I guess that's two ways out. But even then, who's to say that that entity wouldn't go to a different person if he killed her, like she asked him to? The difference between Bear and a lot of other men is what they're willing to do after they find out what happened. Because Bear was just going to let it rock until it got too uncomfortable, too inconvenient, too weird for him to handle. That's when he's like, okay, I need to do something about this. And he doesn't try to reverse the wish until Sarah dies. Until his stupidity, his selfishness got somebody else killed. Another thing I want to point out is that the rest of this friend group aren't necessarily saints either. Because I've seen people say that Ian was a villain of the story. That's not true. What Ian did does break bro code. I'm not saying that Ian and Indy, that Ian and Nikki can't hook up. That is a betrayal of his friendship with Bear. If two people want to get together, that should be all that matters. But bro code says, you know that your best friend is in love with this girl, or is in what he thinks is love with this girl. You should at least tell him. You should at least tell him that you've been together. Because when you're giving him advice on how to get her attention or how to get her to like him, and we find out later that you've been sleeping with her, it sounds like you're giving him spoiled intel. It sounds like you are trying to poison the well so that she does not stop sleeping with you. Because her reaction to being called Freaky Nikki, which was Ian's idea, is very negative and very strong. So it reads to us as the audience that Ian is giving Bear bad advice on purpose. Also, that night that they go out at the beginning of the movie, Ian realizes that Bear wants to make a move, and Ian keeps telling him not to, despite being like, you should just tell her how you feel, but not tonight. Not while I'm doing what I want to do. So, Ian, not the best guy either. Sarah, not a girl's girl. But you know that your friends, or that one of your friends is acting weird in her relationship with one of your other friends. You might have a crush on Bear. You might be attracted to him. But what you should not do is start disrespecting the boundaries of their relationship. Why are you resting your head on his shoulder? Why are you meeting up with him in a park in the middle of the night? Why are you talking about, well, you should have been, or I should have been the one that you kissed? She's not respecting the relationship. Even if Nikki was not possessed by some wish, there's no reason for Sarah to be acting the way that she does. Does she deserve to die? Obviously not. It is Bear's fault that she dies. But Sarah and Ian are both kind of scummy too. But I think where things really come into focus with Bear is when he calls the number on the back of the One Wish Willow box and he asks if he can alter the wish. He does not want to cancel the wish. He does not want to release Nikki's mind. He does not want to release her from this wish that he made. He just wants to change it so that she acts a little bit less weird. He does not want her to make him uncomfortable anymore, but he still wants her to love him. So it's like, can I just change the terms of the wish a little bit? And then once the operator's like, no, you can't. You can't really do that. That's when he's like, okay, well, can I cancel it? He's like, well, we don't do that either. I just wanted to see what your intentions were. I think there's something interesting about the idea that maybe he could have canceled the wish if that was what he'd said first. But I don't know. That's just my headcanon there, I guess. And it's the more interesting option, at least in my mind. That being said, though, I mean, there's literally, if Bear had put time into this and not just started panicking after Sarah died, if he had thought about how to do this from the moment that he found out that you can't cancel or alter the wish, if he had gone and taken Sarah and Ian and gotten them One Wish Willows, it would have been like, okay, Sarah, wish for something tangible, right? Like wish for a new car or something like that, and then break the willow. She breaks it. Sarah would probably do it because she likes him. Sarah, so she would do it. She'd get the car. They realize that it's real, and he goes to Ian and he's like, "Okay, now you wish that I never made a wish, right? Because that would undo his wish and Sarah's wish. Then they all still get a wish that they can use later for something else. Way nobody has to die." But I don't know. Hindsight's 2020, I guess. But yeah, I mean, what I really mean to say here is that, like, Bear did not start the story as, you know, as the Devil's Apprentice, but he certainly ends there, and it's literally just because he is such a coward and he is so selfish. When Nikki is begging and pleading with him to kill her, and he says, "What's so wrong about being with me?" He's not even listening to her. He's not even listening to her. And Nikki says, "I've never been with you, Bear." Literally, it's not me. How many times does she have to say, "It's not me," before he gets it, you know? And like I said earlier, the unfortunate truth is that there are a lot of guys who would make that same wish just because of the fact that they don't understand that it's real. But the difference is what you do after, how long you let it go on, what you do to her once you realize that she is compromised. But I don't know, that's what I gotta say about that. My voice is going out on me for some reason. Have you seen Obsession? I hope so if you made it to this point in the video, because I've been spoiling it left and right. If you did see it, what did you think about it? What did you rate it 1 through 10? And what's your Obsession hot take, I guess? We'll get these comments jumping. Whatever you think, comment below and let me know. I'll see you later.